Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the opening round of the Formula Sim series, the brand new, renamed, and we are here at the Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix. I'm here in the commentary box. My name is Evan Dalton, and I am joined by Ethan for tonight. Ethan, how are you doing? Yeah, fantastic grid for the opening race. You can see it there, folks, on your screen currently now. It'll only be up for a short second as we are readying up. You can see the Mercedes crew of Kazizel and Isma, Centauri and Georginator in the Red Bull, Lars Kramer and Korn in the McLaren, Tito and Andrea in the Aston Martin, Kai and Fleddy in Alpine. Medestral is in the Ferrari, unsure to who his teammate is for tonight. They are not here yet or haven't selected the car. The Dutch Missile and Rowan for AlphaTauri, Xander and Tom in the Alfa Romeo. Run through these quickly. Gill and in the Haas, and then it is Jenser and Boland in the Williams, just in time for readying up in the lobby. But we are here for an interesting race around the Circuit of the Americas, the 5.513 kilometre circuit. It is a challenging one for the drivers, and it most certainly is good for overtaking. That's one thing we know about this circuit. Of course, it is combined between Silverstone, Istanbul and Hockenheim, and it is going to be a fantastic race, so make sure you do stay tuned, folks. For qualifying though, what sort of times are we expecting for this one? Yeah, quali will be starting now. Of course, we can see the weather conditions. We could start off with a wet qualifying for the season. Well, let's hope not. We can see the drivers on... Well, no, wet qualifying would be interesting, as I highly doubt any prepared. But it is not wet as we are in America. In Austin, Texas, it's normally quite sunny, and it is sunny here today. 18 minutes qualifying, followed by a 50% race, if you are unsure of the format of this one. It's going to be... as I've said many times already, it's going to be fascinating and it is going to be very good. All drivers have the soft selected now, but that can easily change. It is an action-packed grid, and remember, if this is your first time watching, to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You can check out the social channels. I'm sure there's a link in the description for those. But qualifying, we are just waiting for someone to get out on the track, and we have it. It is Jenser in the Williams car. A lot of preparation gone into this one. You've watched the practice times. Anyone have noticed who you've seen be really fast here? First race on wheel is always a challenge. It is a little bit easier when you do know the game inside out and you are quick enough on the game anyways, but it will be certainly difficult on the wheel. Everyone out on track is currently on the soft compound tyres. We have a couple of people. Kazizel is out, then there's Jenser is also out on the circuit. Gill as well in the Haas, George Nader, and they're all really piling out of the pit lane now. No one opting for the mediums just yet. We could see some mediums later in the session when they do back off, but it will be Jenser and the Williams who is going to set the first qualifying lap of the season if all goes right for him, which I'm sure he will hope get off to a cool and comfortable start around the 20 corners of the Circuit of the Americas. He's running this famous right-hander now. Many incidents here through the years, most noticed being Max Verstappen getting his overtake and getting his penalty. That one certainly didn't excite me, but it excited many fans. It was a fantastic move. Here comes Jensen though. Let's have a look at this qualifying lap. We'll stay on board with the Williamsman entering the final corner. Slow through here, and he'll get the exit out of it. Short shifting up the gears. You want to get the best exit possible. Traction can be a little bit difficult out of that one. Up to the hill, braking just after the 50-metre board. It is a very tricky braking zone there, especially on no assists. To the right hand side now, flat out corner easily in the dry conditions in both race and qualifying, and through the famous S's that are copied from Silverstone's Maggots and Beckett section, but nothing wrong with that. They're a fascinating set of corners. Left flick in, difficult corner. there, and the traction being really tricky out of here. And one thing, watch for invalidations on that right hand side, very easily done. You can cut a little bit of the curb there as we head into turn number 11. Oh, a bit slidey through there for the Williams, but he has kept it overall clean. Down the main straight, heading towards turn 12. Very easy for overtaking. This one is, if you can get the DRS and you can get the tow, 3-car slipstream can usually be very powerful here if you are behind that group. Braking just after the 100-metre board, short shift down the gears and get the car rotated in. You can cut a little bit of the corner. I know the admins probably aren't too happy about that, but the drivers certainly can cut a little bit of that turn 12 to the double left-hander of 15. Gets on the power nicely, does Jensen. This is not a bad lap car on his left-hand side. Stays well out of the way, and that is exactly where Jensen will want him. Flat out through there, and this is probably one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. You need to watch for invalidations on the outside. You need to watch for invalidations on the inside of this one. It's almost a double whammy as he crosses the line for a 130.9, and that's not a half bad lap for early in the session. He was, and Kazizel instantly beats him, had a big wobble out of the final corner, so that could be a lap that he can improve on personally. There is more drivers on laps down the grid. I believe that is Gill who's going to cross the line. He has, but it's an invalidation. He has not gone up the timing board. Suku, however, has. He has gone to what is now fourth as Boland makes it a Williams 2-3 early on in the session. Of course, the only time we've really seen a Williams 2-3 in recent times in Formula 1 has been the very start of Quali 1. It is the very start of qualifying, but the Williams will hope to keep it up there. In the final sector, there is a Red Bull of Santeri flying through the double right-hander. The Finishman flicks the car into the left, makes it stick. It's a good run so far for Santeri, but that is Isma on provisional pole position with a 30.7. Santeri goes second, just underneath them. They are in the same tenth of a second. That is very close to the top of the timing sheets. Kai Eltink as well coming around the final sector. We're getting an Alfa Romeo for him. Kai is not actually currently on a lap. And Xander into the pit lane. He invalidated Modestral. However, and he's almost had a bit of a slide through that corner. His spin on camera for his first time this season would not have been the best way to start it, but he has kept it clean across the line for a P7 on the grid. Not too shabby indeed. Lars Kramer starting a lap in his McLaren. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the course of the run. We will flick through the Dutch Missile, who has gone 10th on his first race on wheel, 1.7 seconds off the pace. It's to be expected for your first lap in the league race on wheel. There'd be some nerves, there'd be an element of everything. So he'll probably improve. Up the timing sheets. Not good. There. Andrea is currently 19th. He'll hope not be 19th by the end of this qualifying lap. Keeps it wide into turn number 15. Well, there's two lines through there. There's one for sending it up the inside, and there's one for the rest of the race. Comes through the double right-hander. The Aston Martin glued to the circuit at this moment in time. Want to avoid that orange sausage curb in the inside of that corner that you can see through 19. There's one there too. It's a lot flatter. Keep to the right hand side. Andrea goes 5th and within 3/10 of pole position, so it's not bad for a first lap of the season for Andrea. What's his teammate doing? His teammate has invalidated. He will not be joining the other Aston Martin. Lars Kramer, we said we'd follow him. He is done on his lap, as that one was invalidated. That was 13 drivers getting a lap in the early parts of qualifying, some quicker than others. Well, that's how qualifying works, but it is Isma who tops the timing sheets for his Mercedes with 130.7. Yeah, Gill is back out on circuit with Xander van Dijken in 14th spot. Xander and Gill not getting a lap in the early parts of qualifying. There's still 10 minutes to go. They have plenty of time to get 2 more runs in, as the drivers do have 3 new sets of soft compound tyres to get their way through qualifying. Gill on his 2nd set, I believe, as they are a fresh scrubbed set on your timing tower on the left hand side. The Hassman the Frenchman as well. Used to race on pad, now on wheel, I believe. Of course, was a Challenger Series driver last season. He has improved since then, so he's only getting quicker now driving for the FER team. Was at IGK back for the Challenger Series. He has gone on to bigger and better things, and hopefully he can go on to bigger and better things in this qualifying session, as he is at the foot of it, where Haas belongs, some would say. Not really in this series. His teammates up in 11th, but FER Gill, I almost said VRT Gill, that's brain memory from PSGL seasons. He's currently starting his qualifying lap. Let's stick on board with the Haasman until some other drivers start. Crosses the line now. Let's have a listen to the Haas roar. Oh, that's horrendous. That's horrendous from Lars Kramer's timing. Not his fault really, but he is a high as Giel is about to start a qualifying lap. First investigation for the stewards? I believe so. He is currently... he's not happy, he's abandoned it. He is not happy, and here we go. This is what we like to see, some rivals already starting. Lars Kramer, not aware of where he was, and was AI on the circuit, and he blocked Giel into turn 1. With the McLaren being on the inside, Giel just couldn't get a turn into the corner. The Frenchman is definitely not going to be happy with that, but we do have to cut to some more laps. It is Zander who's on the lap for his Alfa Romeo. We expect him to be near the top of the timing sheets for sure. The young Dutchman has a lot of pace around all circuits, and especially this one of the United States. Speaking of the United States F1 circuits, there has been 9 of them. Run through those in a moment as we are waiting for Zander to cross the line. Is it going to be enough for pole? It's only P3. I say only P3. It's still a very good qualifying lap, as it is 1/10 of a second off the provisional pole time. Some more drivers on lap. George Nader is one. The Red Bull running through sector 1, the S's. We'll have a look at this, see how well it is. Aiming for the orange sausage curbs almost, and almost nailing every single one of them.
Nicely done through dig. He needs to get the traction perfect through here as well. No invalidation there. Nicely done. Now for this braking zone for the straight.
Turn number 11. This is good for the Red Bull. He is proving pacey around the circuit of the Americas so far. Cutting down the straight though. Let's see how much straight line speed he was running. He was running well through sector 1, so I can imagine he's a bit more downforce than most. But I could be wrong, because you never really know. A lot of
traffic coming up as well.
Yeah, a lot of traffic here. You can see on your track map on the bottom right hand side of your screen, folks. That was a purple sector 1 for George Nader. But there is also many cars sat in front of him. The Aston Martin and the Haas in front of him there. Hopefully they'll get out of the way. Yes, that's Boland on provisional pole for Alpine. IF4 Boland 46 on provisional pole. Can George Nader beat him? There is a Williams there, but I believe he will be out of the way in time as George enters the final corner. Final 20, of course, across the line. It's only P5 behind his teammate. It's not pole, but it is still behind his teammate Santeri. That's a good lap for George Nader.
Nicely done. But the Red Bulls in a great position here for the constructors early on in the season. You want to start the best possible you can for the constructors.
You do want to start the best possible. Lars hasn't got off to a great start getting involved in that incident with Gear. Let's hope his qualifying pace is a little bit more in tune than his visual awareness was into turn 1 that time. Let's see as he enters turn number 19. Just running a little bit wide, but keeps it on the limit. That's where you want to be through there. Turn 20. And across the line, DRS activated. It is 13th spot. It is slotted just behind his teammate. It is only 4/10 off pole. We say that. Have a look at the top 7, folks. All within 1/10 of a second of IF4 Boland. This is what we love to see in the opening round of the Formula Sim series. If you're just joining us, we are live from the Circuit of the Americas. I'm joined by Ethan here in the commentary box. And qualifying is well underway with 5 minutes to go. There is still plenty of drivers to shoot up that timing sheets. The Shizou boys of Andrea and Tom. Expect them to be up there in the race or in the later parts of qualifying. Modestrel is about to cross the line to get himself up in the later parts of qualifying. Across the line, it's only one position up. I suppose it still proves me right. He still went up a little bit. The Dutch missile, of course, it's his first race on wheel. We'll be keeping an eye on him. He is 20th, but is still proving to be somewhere near the back, which is... it's good for your first race on wheel, really.
It's you like just want to spin in real life.
Yeah, it is. Let's just hope that the Dutch missile doesn't get off to the same start Mazepin did in his first Grand Prix in a Formula 1 wheel. It didn't end well. If you don't know what he did, he crashed at turn 1. Simple as that. But I think everyone knows what he did from certain Twitter pages by now. Anyways, Tito into the pit lane. And as many drivers will be, they'll stick on the last set of these fresh, soft compound tyres. And they will blitz it. But one man blitzing it is Isma. And that's on pole by 0.2 of a second. That's a fantastic lap from the Mercedes-man. Will that be beaten today? I'm unsure.
Where did that come from? It was all so close and then boom.
Yeah, that's impressive. It's impressive if you're going to beat one person by 0.2 of a second. He's just beaten an entire field almost by 0.2 of a second. So Isma is quick here. So is many members of his FER team. Santeri up there, Giel up there as well. Modesto's down in 16th, but I don't think he'll be there for much longer. This is still not over, folks. We have 4 minutes and 16 seconds to go in qualifying for the opening round of the Formula Sim series. And my oh my, is it a close one? Top 6 separated by exactly 0.3 of a second. Yeah, we'll get more visuals on the screen for you. We can get the tyres off as they're all on the soft compound of tyres. Every single driver, the bottom 10 at the end of qualifying will surely be starting on a different compound, but in qualifying they'll be going for the highest grid position possible. Those like Fleddy and Awarka will most certainly hope to shoot up a little bit more. Awarka is the first on track. Is that someone shooting up? It is Andrea who shot up the 3rd spot. The Haasman, we said he'd be up there. He most certainly is up there. He's beaten Suku, and it is a Shizou 345, which is it's a very good start for the Shizou team. Of course, they're not teammates in this one, but they are still part of the same esports team. We'll be cheering each other on throughout the season.
Definitely. You will want your all teammates from your esports team to be doing well, as it just enables the team to have a better name.
It certainly will be. It's 3 minutes to go in qualifying, and Shizou are looking like they're going to have a better name. That Aston Martin is running very high off the ground, so he will be fast through here. Yeah, there's a very high rake on that Aston Martin. He's, of course, setup changes. Sometimes do visual effects like that one. One thing that will get a
very high, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a really high setup on the Andrea Aston Martin. One thing that will most certainly have a visual effect is your track map on the bottom right hand side. Look at them all on outlaps. This is the busy part of qualifying. The busy section, as Crofty and all would call it. We're going to call it that now. As Jenser is on what is actually a timed run. He's not going very fast for a timed run. He's slowing down. So something happening there, whether he's just backed out or whether he just, well, yeah, he's letting people through. It looks like there's a lot of cars in the one sector, a lot of cars on the exit of turn 11, and this may get a little bit busy in the later parts of this final run. Andrea, I don't think he'll get another run in because he's only entering the pits with 1 minute and 53 to go, and you will not really have the best of times. But FER Giel is starting his lap. That is confirmation. Andrea will not be setting another lap in this qualifying session. Giel will be, however, Kazissel on his right hand side, flicks through the S's. Wow, that is smooth steering from the Haasman. That is fantastically smooth through sector 1, but however, he is still down on his qualifying time. Cuts through the left and onto the right. He almost validates, very on the limit for the Haas. As apologies, switched over camera there for a moment as he enters turn 11. That turn 10 was very on the limit. He may have gained some there, but has a little bit of a wobble down the main straight, missing a gear change. It's all going wrong through turn 11, and he's backed off at this one, I believe. Unless he did just lift off for the fun of it, although I can't imagine a racing driver would do. He's backed off. The Haas has backed off after what looked like to be a good sector run. Obviously not. Bolan is on a lap. He's second position, and he is 0.2 of a second behind Isma, who is currently on provisional pole for Mercedes. Mercedes starting the race so far in a 1.5. However, that will surely change with how close this grid is. Bolan running a little bit wide through 7, but tidies it up through 8 and through 9. No, he does not tidy it up in the slightest. It is an invalidation for IF4 Bolin. Will he get round for another run? I don't think he will, as I cannot see my timer right now. Santeri is off as well. Kai Eltink is invalidated, but he will get another run in. There's a lot of cars in the last sector. Giel and Xander being two of those. Korn is on his qualifying lap. He's currently cutting through sector 1. We'll keep an eye on him. Rowan has managed to get another lap in. Jens are getting a slipstream from Lars Kramer. Lars involved in a bit of controversy in this qualifying, obviously trying to get his brownie points back up with a bit of slipstream, or else he's just holding the Williams up. And if he's doing that, that's not very good indeed. Jenser is 8/10 of a second down. Modestrol is 2/10 of a second up. Tito just starting his lap. Awarka is up on his time as well. He's down in 18th. We'll keep an eye on the battle for pole. Isma is up on his lap. Bolin will not get another lap in. That is his qualifying over. So is it for Suku. Kazizel has managed to get another run for the Mercedes and the Shazoo team. He is looking to beat his teammate for pole position. A 1-2 for Mercedes. We've never seen that one before.
Totally not the past 4 F1 seasons, is it, to be fair, sir?
No. Bolin is done. It will not be an improvement for Bolin. This is looking like it will be a handy pole position for FER Isma, but we will keep an eye on Kazizel, who is improving on his time. What's Kai Eltink doing? It's 2/10 of a second. A good last sector here. Could see Kai Eltink shoot himself up into the top 5 in qualifying, which is where he will want to be to start the race. The Alpine Padman meeting against the wheel. And that's invalidated. It has not been a good last sector. He's going to fly one into the wall.
That's a massive hit.
That is a big collision. Giel is still on a run, but he's made a mistake. Through 19, through 20. FER Giel, he is not going to improve. We'll keep an eye on Kazizel. He is the highest order runner on his lap. He's up by a little bit. It's not much, but it makes it a Mercedes 1-2 heading into the United States Grand Prix. Can you get a better start from Mercedes? No, you cannot. We will cut down to Tom, who enters into the pit lane. That is qualifying for the United States Grand Prix. FER Isma on pole position. Didn't even need a last run. Kazizel, his teammate, will start second. That is a fascinating qualifying. Was so close until the final runs, when it just seemed like all the drivers in the top 10 faded away and made some sort of mistake.
Yeah, ridiculously quick and ridiculously close in the midfield there. Look at that. That is insane to look at.
That is absolutely insane. Yeah, it was really close, especially in the midfield. Have a look there from George Nader down to Rowan. That is 6th to 12th, and it is just over 1/10 of a second. That is fascinating driving from them. But points are scored on a Sunday, or in this case, in the race, in just about a few minutes' time. Stick around, folks. It is going to be a great one. Let us know who you think is going to win in the stream chat. We'll run you through the final results in qualifying. It is the Spaniard FER Isma on pole position, followed by Kazizel, his teammate. Mercedes starting well, although they still will have a challenge in the race. It's not going to be as smooth running as Hamilton and Bottas had it. But Isma and Kazizel will certainly hope it is. Bolin will start third, the Dutch challenger in P3, again an F1 theme there. Andrea will start from 4th, Suku will start 5th, George Nader 6th, and Terry in 7th, Kai Eltink in 8th, Giel 9th, Tom 10th, Xander 11th, Rowan 12th. Florida will start 13th, Awarka will start 14th, Jenser 15th, Lars Kramer 16th. After that, a little bit of controversy with Giel. Modestrol, he'll start 17th, followed by Tito in 18th, Fleddy in 19th, and the Dutch missile, his first race on wheel, he'll start the race from 20th on the grid.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of controversy already surrounding that blocking incident. And yeah.
I'm sure Giel won't... Oh, it's rain. Oh, yes, it is. It is rain. Kai Eltink has sent pictures of his qualifying lap. He was on course for a pole lap, but he made a mess. It is rain in the race. So, folks, all those times you've seen in qualifying, wipe them from memory, because wet weather driving is completely different to slicks. However, I will still ask you, Ethan, is there anyone you fancy for winning this Grand Prix?
Well, I'm going to go George Nader. I think he might win from P6.
George Nader from P6 is the prediction.
Last season of him racing, he was quite fast.
Let us know in the stream chat, if you are still watching, who you think is going to win this Grand Prix. It's a different ball game now, but if you're watching, you probably do know some of the drivers. And I believe it is the Inters they're all starting on. It is the Inters. Now I'm going to try Arno Otmir's strategy and go on the other tyre. No, all for the Inters. I think going for a full wet in this condition would be just as bad as Gasly in 2018 Hockenheim. Speaking of Hockenheim, of course, this circuit is based a little bit off Hockenheim. I don't know what sector. I can imagine it's Sector 2, but it is based on Hockenheim.
Is Sector 2 the hairpin, kind of, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, I suppose it is a little bit. According to my notes, it is anyway, so let's hope they're not wrong. This circuit, of course, costed 400 million to build. We're going to race 20 race cars around it and hope it doesn't break up. 375 acres is the full land mass of the Circuit of the Americas facilities. Of course, you have the viewing tower, there's concerts here. If you happen to be an American country western fan, this will be a great weekend for music as well as racing. And as we said, 9 circuits held the USA Grand Prix: Sebring, Riverside, Watkins Glen, Phoenix, Dallas, Detroit, Las Vegas, Long Beach and Indianapolis, as well as the Circuit of the Americas. And we're going to have the Miami GP circuit as well. Of course, Circuit of the Americas is the only FIA Grade 1 circuit until the Miami GP. You will have just seen in the stream chat also to tune into F2 opener at 8:30 British time after this one. We'll make sure to stick around for this one because we're in for a Formula Sim Series Classic to start this season. There's your predicted pit stop strategy. I wouldn't go by that because some drivers may try the no stop apologies, and we may see some drying up later on in the race. But it is a Mercedes 1-2 to start the season, but they have a lot of work to do in these wet conditions. Expect to see some movements from the back, expect to see some crashes, because it all happens when you stick on an Inters on a wet circuit. It is very interesting, and it is very interesting.
That turn 1 as well, isn't it? It's going to be chaos, I think.
Well, no assists, of course, in this tier, so expect a lock-up or two into turn 1, and that could end a few people's races if it goes wrong. Hopefully we don't see too big a pile-up, and that takes out too many drivers, which kills our action. But we're lining up on the grid. Isma is lining up into his grid slot. We have a bit to wait for the Dutch missile in the back, who will have to line up. Let's hope he's not a missile into turn 1, but he does cut through the pack in some extent. It'll be good to see on the Dutch missile's first wheel race. We are lined up and ready to go. The tyres have been heated. The engines have been turned on. And we are here for the first race of a new era of the Formula Sim Series. We're in for a good one, folks. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. We go racing in America. What's the race start like for the Mercedes? It's a decent one from Isma. He's got away well, but look at Boland on the outside. There's an Alpine shooting his way up. There's a big send from Andrea, and there's a bit of contact as well, but Andrea seems to have snuck his way through to second early on. There's a bit of chaos in the background with Santeri dropping down a couple of spots, Suku making up some moves, and Kazizel, the big loser, down to 7th already. Isma's pulling away. It's Kazizel. It is Kazizel in the Mercedes who has crashed. Yeah, this is really messy race start, but it's nothing that we did not expect in the early stages of this Grand Prix. Kai Eltink up 5 spots to 3rd. Andrea went for a big send into turn 1, sent a Williams of Boland around the long way. McLaren, apologies, in the background of corner has gone for the move. Kai Eltink has gone for the move on Andrea. Andrea not getting the best run through that middle sector, and Kai Eltink, the Dutchman, has swooped his way up to 2nd spot. Isma still leads this Grand Prix though. Really interesting first few sectors. Andrea looking to make a move back on Kai Eltink. She's not close enough, and there is some moves back there. Santeri looking to make up a spot, and it looks to be the Alfa Romeos who are the first teammate scrappers of the season. Xander around the outside of Tom. Tom just holds his ground, keeps his line, and that is good racing from both there. But Xander sent one. Oh, could go wrong. No, he's kept it well, but he has tagged the Red Bull of Santeri, and he's into the wall. That is Xander into the wall. Very messy driving. We said it all go wrong. There's a 2 wide here. Speaking of going wrong, these drivers leaving nothing on the line. They say a championship isn't won in the first lap of the race, but it's not going to be won by George Nader if he picks up damage very early here. And that was quite a crazy lap 1 to start the Formula Sim Series, but it is Isma who leads the opening lap of the series with a 1.2 second advantage. Very good from the Mercedes-man, keeping his nose out of trouble into turn 1 just about. And that is Zander retiring in the pits, the first retirement of the United States Grand Prix.
Ridiculous lap 1. We're still seeing everyone bunched together. 19 drivers all running well so far. The big gains on the lap are Cornet and Mojdro in the midfield, who are really pushing here.
Yep, of course, Gale, I think, is struggling a little bit. I'm not sure if rear wing damage is on, but if it is on, he certainly has some. As George Nader slapped into the back of that Haas F1 car, and here comes George Nader down the inside of that Haas F1 car. It's a lot cleaner on this occasion. He's got the move done this time. Do not expect any resistance from the Frenchman to fly back past. To the outside goes Effie Gale. There's a Williams of Jenser looking to get. We said the triple slipstream was a little bit powerful here. Is he going to send one down the inside? No, he's not. There is a positional change or something happening here because the two McLarens are both making moves. Lars Kramer around the outside of Effie Santeri in the Red Bull. Santeri leaves no space and just pushes him that little bit wide, but it seemed fair enough as that is Lars Kramer back down the inside of the Red Bull. Is he going to pull one back on him? No, he does not. Santeri lucky to avoid damage in that first lap collision with Zander, but he has managed to avoid that. He's managed to avoid Lars as well, and he's in P8 challenging Corner, Lars' teammate in front. But Lars Kramer is a fast driver when he wants to be, and he will challenge that Red Bull ahead. Tom, though, he's really struggling. He's 1.3 seconds behind Suku in front, and he does have that flying McLaren behind him. Is the McLaren going to send one into turn 1? No, he's not. A little timid in his overtaking. He's gone for the clever route, as Lars Kramer has not. Well, it is a clever move. He just hasn't pulled this one off, unfortunately. Santeri keeps his P8. Let's look at the gap between Andrea and Kai.
Yeah.
Between Andrea and Kai, it is 2.2 seconds. Them front two are pulling away from this one. We're unsure on the race weather conditions, whether it will get dry at some point, but these train tripping over each other and costing them. We've just seen there, we're on board with Modestral. He almost ran into the back of Lars Kramer. Have to lift off the power. That's not good. It loses you time, as to be expected. He will try a move into this corner here. There's a bit of scrapping in front. That's really aggressive defending from the Alfa Romeo of Shizou. Tom, he is still going to defend it. Apologies for the poor camera angles. Cheers, Codemasters. As Corner is going to try send one down the inside. You can see the front left lock up. Tom has to go the long way around the outside, just like Fernando Alonso did. He's going to keep the Alfa Romeo there. Alonso was passing an Alfa Romeo, but the Alfa Romeo was passing Alonso's old team of McLaren. Oh, that's a bit of a send from Corner. That will caught me off guard, and he has shoved Tom off the circuit. This is getting scrappy, folks, because Santeri is now involved, and this is now a three-way scrap for P number 6. It could become a four-way scrap if Lars Kramer gets involved. Santeri just shows a little bit of the nose up the inside of Corner to try and make the move. And he's almost ran into the back of Corner. I'm sure Corner would not be happy if that's where the Red Bull's front wing end plates ended up. And he's lost out in the straight because of that, and he's all a little bit more spaced out. Bolin is closing in on Andrea. Andrea seems to be the holder of Bolin's progress. As something happened here.
That was a massive send by Mojdro and Lars Kramer on Lars Kramer. And then he had severe damage implications.
If these two now in a bit of a scrap is Modestral and Santeri. I believe it's Santeri who has the damage there, as he's really struggling on his front. You can see his steering wheel there, just has to keep it through the corners. He's going to struggle in that Red Bull now. He's going to have to keep an eye on that one. He's going to feel a little bit poorly in that car, but this gives Corner a bit of free space to attack Tom again. Of course, Tom pushed him all the way to the left-hand wall. We are in America, but it is not quite IndyCar just yet. The McLaren, though, is going to try possibly an IndyCar send down the inside on Tom. He's a bit far back from this one. I don't think he's going to go for it just yet, and if he does, he may cause some damage, as there's something going on here. The Red Bulls are tripping over each other. Jenser and Giel getting some moves sorted. These two are scrapping, and around the outside here, it doesn't seem to be the way to go, because we've seen Corner try it, we've seen Jenser try it. Both did not be successful on that one. The two Red Bulls, George Schneider and Santeri, both now scrapping over 10th. I think Santeri may have let George Schneider through. George is down to P10 from P6 on the grid. He's not got the best race start that we wanted. There was a prediction from my co-commentator Eaton here that he was going to win the race. Anything can happen.
Commentator's curse.
Anything can still happen in these conditions. Rollins gets past Jenser. Jenser could be struggling with something here, as he has dropped down behind Giel, and he's now about to drop down behind the AlphaTauri of Rowan. Haven't seen much of Rowan in this Grand Prix, but he sent one up the inside for P13, and that is a well executed overtake. If he can just get the exit, he's not going to be able to, because the Williams is the inside, and may I say, that is fabulous defending from Jenser. There was another attempt at a move from Corner, but it was not successful, and Tom, we were referencing Fernando Alonso, is pulling a few Fernando Alonso defensive moves here.
Getting the elbows out very nicely here. Tom is defending excellently.
Isn't it Alfa Romeo? Alplan for this one. He is certainly driving well. And the McLaren, nudging him through the corners. And he's pushed him wide. He has pushed him wide. I suppose that's one way to get past the car. Just send them off the circuit. No DRS.
Scary there. I thought you were going to go straight into the back of his gearbox.
Yeah, that would have been a disastrous crash to start off your season run lap 5. He's gonna send one here, surely. No. That's a clever move. Modestrel, though, with another clever move down the inside of Lars Kramer. And Lars has no option to go around the outside, because Modestrel was clear past into the braking zone. But now, Andrea holding a Bolin has allowed Suku into the fight, and has allowed, if Suku just has a look back from his Ferrari back wing, to see Tom there. And Tom, of course, well, we know what's going on behind him. There is a full train of cars, and the only gap that's not within a second is between Rowan and Jenser. Walker is also joining the back of this train, so is Tito. Fleddy a little bit far back for now. The Dutch missile running well in 18th. I know we say running well in 18th. It's very uncommon for a commentator to say, but it's his first race on wheel. It's a wet race. We need to cut him some slack here.
Definitely have to cut Ryan some slack there. Sitting P18. It's a difficult time.
He's still ahead of the man who was second on the grid, Kazizel. So that's a positive to take from this race, if anything. Speaking of second, Kai Eltink is up to second, as we said from the race start, but he's now 0.5 of a second behind Isma in front. When will the tyres start to struggle a little bit here? Because we know Inters can do a lot, but about what lap would these drivers be looking to possibly make a pit stop?
I'd say, if the conditions stay like this right now, I'd say 13 or 14, the drivers may have to change. I'd say halfway is probably the best to change.
Yeah, 50-50 split seems fair enough for the drivers. It's like an episode of Dragon's Den. They'll be dropping their tyres. I've no idea why I made that reference, but here we are. Corner is still looking for this move on Tom, and he's not close enough on this attempt either. He's going to have to get a little bit braver in the different sections of the track if he wants to get past this Alfa Romeo, because Tom doing everything right now to keep his P6. Bolin is also not really getting braver than Andrea in front, because he is still stuck behind, and Suku is now he's in close proximity of the Williams in front, and he will be pushing for a move sooner rather than later.
Has him in his sights, Suku does. He might need to do a send into turn 1 on Bolin if he can get a good exit onto the main straight. But this fight between Tom, Cornet and Mostrol is heating up as well. It's now a 4-way scrap loss as well. This could go 5 into turn 1 here.
The tyres may not be heating up, but the on-track action certainly is. The Red Bulls have gone for another swap around. That's Team Orders. Multi-21 Centauri, he shoots past. There's no Team Orders here, though, despite there being 2 McLarens. A Ferrari car and a Ferrari powered car. Tom is still managing to hold these guys behind, and I have to say, an impressive job from Tom so far. He's making these guys work for it. He's making these guys work for a P6 like they've never worked for a P6 before, because they can't get past them. And they are right behind. First penalty of the day belongs to George Nader in P11. The two Red Bulls running 10th and 11th. They'll both want to be higher up, as will every driver in this race, apart from Isma, who is leading by 0.5 of a second. The gap was 1 second, but there's been a mistake somewhere along the line. Kai Big Spray with a little bit of spray into the braking zone of turn 12. Is there going to be a move finally from corner? No, there's not. There is finally a move though for Santeri, who has let himself back into this fight. These two made a bit of contact before. They seem to have made it again, and Santeri sends Lars off the circuit, but Lars sends one back up the inside. I don't know if there was a move there, but there is now. He's created one. Santeri is going to have to try send one up the inside. Tries a double whammy, does the Red Bull. That's the switcheroo, as Crofty would call it. Go for the outside, opt in for the inside. These two too wide, and I don't think it's going to end well. Santeri tucks in, and that is clever driving from the young man.
He's going to go for it.
He's going to go for it here. Never mind the clever driving. Yeah, that was a risky send. He is his FVR teammate Giel, who we're on board with right now, in the Haas behind him. And we can get a great view at this battle now. It's really shaping up. Surely there's a send here. Go for it, Santeri. Send one here. No, he doesn't. I was hoping for a send of the season into turn 1. You can get a lot of them in USA. Surprised we didn't get a few in F1. Apart from maybe that attempt from Kimi Räikkönen on Alonso.
Santeri's.
Oh, Santeri! No, we just cut off him, and we were saying he was back up there. He certainly isn't now, and it's down to 13th. Was there any contact there between him and Lars?
Nah, he just had a massive snap of oversteer, and round he went.
It can happen in the wet any time. The car just loses it. He will be struggling. He's stuck behind Tito now, and he will be struggling a little bit on tyre temperatures. They'll be very hot after that spin. We've a slick runner. Awarka is on the slicks, and so is Rowan, and so is Kazizel. Are we finally time for the slick compound? I don't think so. It looks really wet. There's a battle for the race lead. Isma and Kai Eltink battling for the race lead. As we worry about tyres, these are worrying about track position. Isma keeps the spot. Kai Elting stays behind. Boland finally passed Andrea, and it seems like we're getting a lot of action in one lap here on lap 8 of the Formula Sims Series round 1. Kai Elting trying everything he can to get past Isma, but Isma is not letting go. The Mercedesman keeps the race lead ahead of the fast Dutchman behind, and will we see either of these opt for a set of the slicks? No, both stay out. Is it a bit of an early call from those at the back?
And that's a gamble. You can see the spray from the cars ahead if you're on onboards, and the television camera, just rain droplets.
Oh, Santeri's gone. We may have a safety car. Santeri is out. Oh no, it's a manual retirement, it looks like.
Yeah, it was a manual retirement.
It's a manual retirement on the circuit. Maybe some penalty points for that, depending on the rules of the league.
Yeah,
but
and that's going to be a penalty, I think.
That's not good for Santeri, ending his first race prematurely by pressing the retire button on lap 9. He was only down to 14th. There wasn't that much of an issue, really. He could get back into it. We have a dry period coming, clearly. We'll have to wait and see.
The onboards of a Roca, it just looks undrivable at the minute.
Yeah, the Dutch missile has gone for the slicks now. On board with Rowan through turn 1 quickly. Yeah, it's struggling. It doesn't seem like the slicks will be quicker. Isma is pulled away from Kai in this lap. He's found a bit of confidence since that battle. Maybe just wanted to make his race a little bit fun. As the DRS has been enabled, actually. The DRS is now enabled just in time. Is it just in time for corner? It is just in time. And look at that. The first lap he gets the DRS. He's straight past the Alfa Romeo. He was not waiting around to get that one done. He's been stuck behind for so long, and that's Medestral. Sneaks his way through. Very late. Medestral known for his late sends, and he's sent one late for sure. Tom's now down to 8th out of absolutely nowhere. Surely we're going to see a few of the front runners pit this lap. Or is it still a bit early?
Might be.
It still looks a bit early, but it seems logical. Isma's in.
Yeah.
Kai is in, and surely this means Boland's going to go in as well. We could see someone try something here.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost everyone in. Medestral carries on. Medestral cannot pit because Suku is in the pit lane, and Medestral has carried on. He is about the only one to do so, unless we see maybe Tito. No, Tito in, and Fleddy in. Andrea has gone for the softs. He's expecting something to happen later in the race. Everyone else almost on the mediums, but it seems like Medestral is about the only one to carry on here. Keep an eye on that gap. 9.4 seconds is the gap right now. 9.7 still increasing, apologies, but you need a lot more than that for a pit stop, and the only thing he has in his hand here is it is much easier to drive on Indus on a drying track than it is slicks on a wetting track.
A lot of the drivers must have just seen the DRS enabled and just all went for it, wasn't they?
Yeah, what I'm interested in here is Andrea on the softs as well as George Nader. Like, they're not going to get to the end, surely?
No way, but they're going to be the fastest drivers in these conditions at the minute.
Maybe they're just hoping that someone gets caught up in something and we get some form of a safety car. Although...
I think there'll be a late safety car, surely.
Yeah, surely we'll get some form of a safety car. Battle between Andrea and Bolin. Bolin just got past Andrea, and Andrea is back past for P number 4. The Aston Martin, that is P number 3. Although Medestral hasn't really lost that much time on this lap, so maybe the extra lap at the Inters was worth it, the gamble. He is pushing like a madman in his Ferrari. 9.6 seconds is the gap when he enters the pits, there or thereabouts. Into the pit lane he goes for a set of the dry tyres. Isma will retake his race lead, although he's struggling as well on these mediums, just as much as it seems everyone. So maybe the extra lap wasn't that bad of an idea for Medestral, because he is now going to possibly jump those who he was in a battle with, those being Korn, Tom and Lars Kramer, who's down to 12th. He's had a horrible lap because he had to double stack. But we will see. Where's Medestral? There's Medestral. There's those he was battling with. Are they going to fly past him? Here is Tom. Medestral is on his inside. Oh, he's almost tagged the McLaren. He's almost tagged the McLaren, but he has got past. No, apologies. He has not got past. The McLaren has got past Medestral. This is such an action-packed race. I'm tripping over my own words. And the drivers tripping over themselves too.
That was very close. A big crash there into turn 1, but because there's always flying there at 45, that fastest lap will get faster, and I think we'll have a shootout for that fastest lap point later on in the race.
Look at the field spread. It's almost non-existent. It's like we're watching horse racing. They're all so close to them. The front two have bolted away. Yeah, fair enough. But look at this train out of that corner. It's car after car after car. It's like the motorway in rush hour traffic. George Nader has got past Gale. He's flying on the softs. The softs seem to be lighting up much quicker than the mediums, which to be expected. That's how tyres work in Formula 1. George Nader is now up to P9 from P11. Locks a brake, however, may let Gale back in. No, he's still well ahead. He's flying really, and so is Andrea, because Andrea is actually catching our front two. The gap was about 4.4 in the wet conditions. It's now 3.6. Whether that is due to Andrea's pace or whether that is due to a mistake for the front two, the gap's come down.
Yeah, definitely. It has come down quite a bit. Andrea's could be the one to watch here, in my opinion. He's flying.
Isma sets the fastest lap. Kai says the fastest lap. Andrea now has the fastest lap with a 142.0. George Nader beats it by a 140.8. There's one man who's very comfortable in the wet weather conditions. It's the man you predicted to win the Grand Prix. Let us know down in the stream chat, if you're still watching, who you predict to win the Grand Prix. My bet would be one of the front two, really. But anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. Anything can happen in the Formula Sim Series F1, and it most certainly does.
Especially with how tight those drivers are all bunched together.
Yeah, the thing here is, one mistake and we could have an IndyCar, NASCAR style crash with everyone just piling into each other.
Piling in, yeah. It's going to be chaos.
That would be pretty crazy. I've never seen one of them. Well, I haven't seen one of them in a while. But this grid is all very close. George Nader going to take another position. George Nader and Andrea, the two soft runners, both flying as George Nader gets himself up to 8th spot past Medestral. Medestral has absolute no defence. And George Nader will get that spot. Good driving from the Red Bull. Gap now 2.6 between Andrea and Kai Elting. That gap will only decrease as we keep going, because Andrea is flying on those softs. But can they go to the end? I just can't imagine so.
Definitely not. And Tedo has a 3-second time penalty.
And so does Suku. And as P5, Suku has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, and Andreas beats George Nader's fastest lap with a 40.7. I imagine there'll be a response. There you go, 39.6 for the Red Bull Racing man. That's a fast lap.
It's only going to get faster as well, isn't it? As the track dries
Yeah,
up.
we'll get closer to qualifying times. Of course, we won't get that quite close, but we'll get in the low 30s for sure. Apologies for my microphone there. That was just adjusting it, as the gap now is 2.2 seconds between Andrea and Kai Elting. This is the real time pace battle. On track battle is in the lower order. However, there's no one really going for moves this race. Apologies, not this race, since the tries, apart from George Nader, who is now on the back of this train. We've been watching for a good bit of this race between Tom and the McLarens, although one McLaren, Lars Kramer, has unfortunately fallen down to 12th.
It's what Andrea now does, though, with his soft tyres. Does he have to pit again or not?
Yeah, because surely them things will be absolutely dead by the end of the race if he keeps going at the pace he's at.
Definitely.
Purple sector 2 once again for George Nader. He'll take another fast lap. He's gonna send one down the inside of the Alfa Romeo of Shizou Tom. Tom with the switchback. Clever driving from the Alfa Romeo. George Nader, you're gonna have to do a little bit more than that. As is that someone that is an Alfa Romeo of Rowan, who has gone round in the middle sector, I believe. Yes, it is. It was Rowan who went round. The Dutch missile is passed now, and Andrea sets the fastest lap, which will be beaten by this man, George Nader. It will be 39.3. We creep down the fastest lap table, as George Nader is the fastest man on the circuit, and he's going for the most moves for sure. Started 6th, fall down to about 11th for a point in this race. His teammate spun, and he's back up to 8th now.
George is absolutely flying here, but he's got a lot of traffic ahead of him. It's vitally important for his position in the later race. I need to get past these as soon as possible. Kizizu retires in the pit.
So does Rowan. That is the man who started second on the grid, who is gone from this Grand Prix. It will be one solo point score for Mercedes, as George Nader's not hanging around. Down the inside of Tom he goes, and it is not quite 7th spot. Tom seems to be a bit of a handy defender here. He is defending the Red Bull. Will he be able to defend him much more? No, the ERS will be burned on that Red Bull, and the Alfa Romeo will just have to stick behind for a little bit more, although he could gain a position from this, really, because George will be battling those cars in front. He could possibly sneak his way through. We've seen Modestro do that a few times today.
Very impressed by Tom's defending this entire race. He's absolutely plays the car perfectly.
Yeah, he's doing really well. There was that great defence for so many laps on the McLarens. On Centauri, Centauri fell away, and it was just corner for a little bit. Corner now has to defend from George Nader in 7th spot. And I don't think he's going to be able to do it for much longer, because look at this pace. Although the front two fastest laps of the Grand Prix, it's beaten by Suku, who is once again beaten by our fastest lapman, George Nader, who is past the McLaren and up to 6th spot on the grid. His soft tyres working wonders on lap 15 out of 28. He's did 4 laps on them, and the soft tyres here usually do about 10 laps. Yellow flag, that is the Dutch missile who is around at the back. That is the Dutch missile, who unfortunately is not a missile as of now. He's a spinning top. I wonder, does he get one like Nikita Mazepin?
I bet he did, especially after that performance. Good old Ryan.
Yeah, it's his first race on wheel, as we said. We'll cut him a little bit of slack. But one man who we won't really cut slack is probably Lars Kramer's pace. It's not been great since the wet period, although he is catching up. Oh, he's off. He's really locked up there and almost went for a spin. Thankfully didn't, because that would have been one of those caught on camera moments you see on TV. Not one to be proud of. There is a battle though, and Jensen is going to be proud that he is past Gale.
The field's starting to bunch up a lot more as well, really.
Yeah, there's this gap from 10th to 9th, but then from 9th up to realistically 4th, we have an absolute train of cars. And then, of course, Andrea is catching into the DRS of Kai Elting, who's falling away from Bolan. Bolan, apologies, from Isma really quickly. As Isma sets the fastest lap of the race with a 37.7. Can Mr. George Naylor reply to that? Yes, of course he can. It's 36.9. Anything you can do, I can do better, Isma, says the cockpit of the Red Bull. Well, says George in the cockpit of the Red Bull. I'm going to hope the cockpit of the Red Bull can't speak. And if it can, well, not surprised with Adrian Newey. Suku, though, his pace I'm a bit surprised with. It's been very good this race.
Definitely.
That was a weird link-in. That was a weird link-in. But here we are. Suku. There's a lot of penalties there. One for George, one for Jensen. One for Lars Kramer. Let's just... Anyone else? There, yeah. Tom's going to add one to the list. As we get quicker, the penalties will get more because the drivers are pushing more and they're getting more used to these slick conditions.
Going to be flying now, these penalties, I think.
Yeah, especially, these penalties could come in crucial for George and Suku. Because it's not like they're near. Sorry, it's not like they're far away from the rest of the drivers. They're in a train. Suku actually setting the fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix with 12 laps to go. So maybe it's just about time the mediums are quicker than the softs that Andrea and George Nader are on. And surely we'll see them pitting in the next 2 laps if they are pitting, although I don't believe they will be. I think they'll try to take these to the end. Isma, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We return to our fastest lapman in P6. Can George Nader beat it? Did we ever question him? He is a 1:36.199 for George Nader. We are cutting close to the low 30s, which we said would be the fastest laps. Once we get into about the 35s or 34s, they will suddenly start to slow down because everyone's tyres will get more. They'll have used more ERS, however, they will be lower on fuel, so anything could happen in that front.
Motor with a water penalty as well. Going to be a lot more. Maybe even the entire field might end up picking up penalties, to be fair.
Whoever in this midfield train, by midfield train we mean Bolan down to Modestro, can avoid penalties will do well. And the only one who is Bolan, so he is in a decent spot. He may have a train behind him, but he's no penalties, so he's basically 3 seconds up the road from them. Although he's not going to be 3 seconds up the road from Suku, who slots his way past. Tom and Corner having a battle as well. Tom trying to regain his position, which has been in front of Corner a lot in the race. It's for P7 now. It was P5 earlier. It is P7 now, and he's got the job done, has the Alfa Romeo. So that's good racing from Tom, who sets a purple 2. It seems to be if you have DRS and Slipstream, you get a purple 2. Unless you're Isma, that is, who is once again flying on his lap, almost picking up a warning though. Yellow flag, sector 1, it is the Dutch missile around again. Isma does not set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on this occasion. Kai Elting does, and then it's beaten by Andrea, Suku, and George Nader has not set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on this occasion. It has gone to Shizu Suku.
Very nicely done by Suku there, nice lap. But would it be beaten?
His teammate Modestro is beating Cornez right now as he's got the spot on him. Cornez dropped 2 in 1 and a bit laps. So it's down to 9th for him, it's up to 8 for Modestro, 7th for Tom currently. Jensen 4.4 seconds behind, so Corn can focus on the car in front and nothing behind because, well, there is nothing behind for a little bit. Lars Kramer is still behind the Williams, however, down for the last point. The excitement has died down a little bit now, especially at the front, but
definitely.
there is still lots to play out with 10 laps to go. One question is, can the softs of Andrea and George Nader make it to the end? If they can't, well,
There's no, I don't think
punctures.
there's a chance. There's got to be no way.
Yeah, I can't see them. We've 10 laps to go. Surely they can't do 17 laps on them, and they're just waiting for a safety car or a VSC to get a cheeky free stop and then just blitz it in the last sector, the last stage of the race.
They'll just puncture if it's in this situation now. It's not a safety car.
Isma makes it the fastest lap, 8:35.2, as the Dutch missile has had enough and he's retired from the Grand Prix. He makes our 16th position in the race, as we have had the Dutch missile, Rowan, Kazizel, Santeri and Zander all out of this Grand Prix. Zander retiring in the very first lap. Corner has picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's just in front of he's just behind Modestrel for P number 8, who's just behind Tom. And Bolan is still just comfortably behind Suku. He was in front, but they are now 1 second behind Andrea. So Kai and Andrea are closing into this pack. It's like cycling. If anyone here watches cycling, the Pendleton just catching up the main runners. These two are on their own, pushing, and now Suku. Oh, Andrea has disconnected. No, he's lagging. He's just lagging. He did have a red X there. He is just disconnecting and lagging a little bit. Lars Kramer is past Jensen. Lars Kramer finally into the points. He was in the points for most of this race. He's back in them now after getting past Jensen for P number 10. Jensen will hope to get that back because, well, who doesn't want points in a Formula 1 race? And that's Andrea in. Andrea is into the pit lane for Aston Martin. And Modestrel sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, meaning these softs won't make the end.
Yeah, they're gonna go now, aren't they?
It's a 2-stop for Andrea. He is on another set of softs and expect him to fly, although he has a lot of work to do. He is going to be 8 seconds behind the pack, and the pack is 11th, so it's not really the ideal strategy, is it? The ideal strategy was to go for the medium.
He needs to hope a lot of D's pick up more penalties as well, because he should have a penalty.
Or a safety car.
Yep.
That'll certainly help his case. Gap at the front, 3.3 seconds. And the gap between Suku and Bolan is now just 0.2 of a second. Bolan may go for the inside here. He's gone for the inside. He's alongside before the braking, and the Williams is back up onto the podium. He senses a podium. He snatches his place and is in 3rd place. So that is excellent from Bolan's side of this race. He's up to the podium positions. There's a positional change. He is currently where he started. Kai is up to 6, Suku up 1, George Naylor up 1, Modestrel up 11 spots. He's your highest gainer so far in round 1 of the Formula Sim Series season. Tom is up 3, Cornet is up 5, Lars Kramer up 7, Jensen up 5, Giel is down 2. He's actually our first loser in this one, with Andrea down 8. And then Tito is up 5. Awarka hasn't changed, and Fleddy up 4 with our DNFs. Obviously not really matter. They're all out of the Grand Prix. But it's looking comfortable for Isma now.
A lot better now, I think, as well for him. But the gap Bolan is gaining a bit more on Eltink. I mean, he needs to cut that gap down, really. But Suku as well is looking all over the back of Bolan. So the podium places are up for grabs.
Podium places are up for grabs since that gap came down to almost a cell. Oh, that's someone gone. It is Awarka in the Haas. So that's unfortunately him round to the back. He is down to last spot of the runners.
Ooh, the three-way fight between Modestrel, Tom and Gournay is really heating up here.
Yeah, this is getting interesting for the midfield, certainly. There's your penalties quickly. It is 3 for Bolan, 3 for Suku, 6 for George Nader, 3 for Metestral, 6 for Cornea, 6 for Lars Kramer, 3 for Jensen, 6 for Tito, and 3 for Fleddy and Aworka. George, with 6 seconds of penalties, is going to struggle because he does have to still try to get to the end of this race or make another pit stop, which is, he's going to lose a lot of time in both, as that's a yellow flag. What's gone on here? It is Tito who's lost his front wing and is around. That could have been the safety car his teammate was looking for. Well, he maybe had a bit of crash gate there for a second.
Very close to being a crash gate, in fact, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course, obviously it wasn't on purpose, I imagine. He would have done a much better job if it was. But it's unfortunate for spin for Tito. He hasn't really been much where... Oh, apologies. He hasn't really been anywhere in this race. George Nader has picked up another 3-second time penalty and now has 9 seconds. That's another yellow flag. That is just Tito confirming his retirement from the Grand Prix. He's pressed that retire button and he is out.
Been very interesting in this race. I've really enjoyed it. I hope the viewers enjoyed it too. Maybe there's a last roll of the dice here in this race, but it provides carnage.
It's still not over yet. Jensen gets past Lars Kramer for P9 now. Of course, with Andrea pitting, they're both in the points. They were fighting over the points. They're both there now anyways. Let's know in the stream chat who your personal driver of the day has been. We'd love to hear that. And of course, make sure to tune into F2 at half 8 British time. But do not go anywhere just yet. It is only a quarter past and we still have 6 fascinating laps of Grand Prix racing to go. Bolan in the Williams is catching Kai Eltink in the Alpine in second spot. George Nader has given up and he's into the pit lane. That's out of the points, almost confirmed, unless he can do something crazy.
Who would you say has been your driver of the day, Evan?
Personally, I would give it to Metestral. He's up a lot of spots to 5th. Although
Modesto and Eltink, I think
Isma as well. He's drove really well. He's charged at the front for the entire race.
Yeah, he's really dominated. He's been in full control the entire race.
I think my disappointment is now probably be George Nader. He cut through the pack for a bit there, but I thought the strategy and possibly the early stages of the race would have been a bit better, but still always some room to improvement. And he...
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, he will be back next week for sure for some more. Let's not predict him for the race win next week and see how he gets on. It could be me and you here, as there's a 3-way fight for second spot now. Kai Eltink and Bolan and Suku. Suku on the inside of IF4 Bolan. But Bolan tries a move on Kai Eltink, and these 3 could keep scrapping and invite the 3 behind them on Modestral, Tom and Cornea into the scrap. Suku trying the long way round. Doesn't work on this occasion. He'll try it again soon.
Could be time for some desperate lunges from some of these drivers at the front as they compete for a podium place.
Yeah, there's a podium on the line here. Modestral certainly knows that as well. He is pushing the maximum on these medium compound tyres just to catch up with some DRS of his teammate. And of course 2 teammates in the scrap would help as well. Bolan's probably hoping Jenser gets here soon because he is his teammate and he could do with some help. Kai Eltink's teammate is Fleddy. And Fleddy is down in 13th. We haven't really focused on Fleddy much today. He's been near the back for the majority of the Grand Prix. 4 laps to go and we have a 30-way fight for second. It's going to be heating up. Don't go anywhere. Suku just needs to get the exit. He'll get a good run on this straight if he can stick in the double slipstream, because of course Bolan will be slipstreaming Kai. Suku will be slipstreaming both of them. And you get the suction down the back straight. No, he cannot, but Bolan can't. Bolan, outside or inside? Take your choice. It is the outside Bolan goes for. It is the outside Bolan gets, and it is second position. Bolan will stay. Suku is the next one to try and get past Kai Eltink, who it would be disappointing for Kai to lose his podium. He's drove well. Someone asking for the penalty count.
Ooh,
there it is. Oh, big send for Suku. He sent the Dutchman off the Grand Prix circuit and has not taken the position, which is a bit risky. Kai, of course, does not have a penalty. He will still get second spot. That is why Bolan is now pushing. But Kai still needs to defend from Suku, because Suku could make Kai's life a misery in trying to keep second spot if he does get past.
That was an almighty send there by Suku, out of nowhere.
Yes, that was an interesting one. Doesn't go for a similar one into turn 1. His teammate, of course, Modestro, famous for that. That's the fastest lap by George Nader. He is back in the swing of things in terms of a fastest lap. I don't think that one will be beaten either. That's actually the Red Bull. I think he spun. He is. I don't know what he's doing there. We're not going to focus on that, as we do have a way more important battle than George doing some donuts. This is the battle for second. Kai is out of the DRS and will not have DRS assistance. It will be Suku. Oh no, Kai does have DRS assistance, but look at the slipstream from Suku. It's got to be down the inside for the Ferrari man on lap 25 to take his position onto the podium, and Suku is up to third spot. Kai Eltink still in fourth, but he does not have a penalty.
That's going to play a crucial role in this end result here in Austin.
Yes, it is, and those with 6 seconds, and the ones I feel sorry for because they'll drop so far. We've currently dropped behind Lars Kramer. That is 10th spot, I believe. Oh, no, he will not. That's hideous mathematics from me. He'll drop just behind Giel, possibly, as Lars Kramer goes off the circuit and, well, picks up 9 seconds of penalties. Nobody is finishing behind him who's in front, as he does have a chunk load of penalties. Lap 26 of 28, the podium fight is not over. Kai will be hoping to keep with these lot in front, so he keeps a second position in the United States Grand Prix. I was about to say the Dutch Grand Prix for some reason. Don't know why, but it's the United States Grand Prix, most certainly. Here's your ERS situation. It is in favour of Suku. Of course, Suku and Bolan are fighting for the position on the circuit, so that is what Suku is trying to do, is just catch up to him in front.
It's going to be tense, this, I think.
Yep, that's George out of the session. He set as fast as lap and dipped. That makes it our 6th retirement, I believe. Luck is caught up to Kai Eltink. It is Modestro and Tom and Cornia. So now, this is a very interesting fight for the podium with 2 laps to go. It could all get scrappy. There's penalties for everyone, apart from Kai Eltink, our race leader Isma, Giel, and Andrea. All don't have penalties. Andrea is on the back of Lars Kramer now, so he could still snatch some points.
One mistake from any of these drivers there, and it is going to be heartbreak for them.
Yep, it is going to be good night. See you later, because they are going to lose a chunk load of positions. We have 2 laps to go. We're on the penultimate lap of the United States Grand Prix. Isma is losing a bit of time, but he is still looking quite comfortable. Suku is looking comfortable also. That's Modestro. He's the one who's made the mistake. He is down to 7th spot, and what was looking so promising for a possible podium challenge has ended up in spin and misery for the Ferrari car of Modestro. He's down to 7th, and he won't get much more than that.
Very unfortunate for Modestro. He was having a fantastic race.
He was having a fantastic race, but his Ferrari teammate could still manage to grab 2nd or 3rd on this grid. Of course, Kai doesn't have a penalty, and as of right now, he will beat both of these. Well, here comes Suku. It's going to be the inside. Is Bolan going to defend? Bolan does not defend and just allows Suku past. No defence at all from Bolan.
Is Bolan going to have a look back at him maybe next lap with a DRS?
Possibly. I imagine that's the only thing he could be waiting for. I can't really see why he wouldn't have defended that one a little bit more at least.
Another yellow flag. We've had a crash.
Yep, we've had a crash. It is it Giel? Is it Lars? I believe it's Lars Kramer. It is Lars Kramer, who will not score points today, as Andreas snuck past both of them, so that's all I can imagine, that Giel and Lars have had it coming together, and it looks like Giel has some front wing damage. He's losing a lot of time, but we're on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Bolan is behind Suku. This is the battle for 2nd position, and it is oh so close. Tom and Cornia could still have a fight here, but Tom has DRS.
Now, what is Bowden going to do here for P2? Does he absolutely send it? Down
Surely
this
it's full
straight?
pace now. Surely it's full
Yeah.
pelt and send. Suku has run a little bit wide there actually, and Lars Kramer is retired in the pits, making it only 13 runners. Sorry, 12 runners. Apologies. In this race, I don't think Boland is quite close enough.
Does he get the traction here? The side slide.
Yep, he will get DRS though, and he is burning all his ERS. He will get a little bit of it to use. Suku will be using it all as well. This is going to have to be a send if it is one. Thomas past Kai Eltink. Boland, is he going to go down the inside of Suku? He backs out and goes for a more sensible option as Kai is losing a lot of positions and may lose his podium on the final lap because of it. Korn is past now. Tom is also past. What about Boland? Is he going for a send? No, he's going to settle for P number 3 here as Kai is currently on course to lose this podium by a very narrow margin. He's back on course now, but he still could. It's very, very narrow. Suku's made a mistake. Is it going to be a last corner send? But our race winner is Isma. We're going to have to stop focusing on that because Boland is trying round the outside on Suku. Oh, they've made contact! He's just got across the line, but they've made contact. Kai Eltink will finish in second. Suku will finish in third. I think that will be investigated, that last corner between Suku and Boland. They were both pushing for everything. There's a massive collision on the grid between a lot of drivers. They've all finished. That's how close it was. We've missed a load of them finishing. Giel will cross the line in 10th. Fleddy will come home in 11th. We haven't really seen much of Fleddy this race. He's been a very quiet customer for this one. And Awarka will come home in 12th.
What an image that is of all the cars on the grid. What the hell?
Oh, Fleddy. Fleddy, if you did not get across that line there, that would have been very embarrassing. As a workout, rounding the final few corners, he's had a miserable race from his perspective. The Hassman in their home Grand Prix. He'll hope to be back for better next week in the Bahrain. Of course, we have a sprint race next week in Bahrain. It is at 25% before the 50%. There is qualifying, of course, as well. But that is race over, and it is a win to start the season for FIOR Isma. Let us know your driver of the day in the comments.
Driver of the day from the game is Modestro, of course, because he saw P16 and moved all the way up the grid very frantically.
He could have had a lot more with the chaos of those last few laps, but he had the spin, so that did not help him at all. There is our podium sitters now.
What a race.
Fantastic. It was a great opening race of the season. This is going to be a fantastic season as they are all so close. It started off in the rain, it ended in the dry, and there was a lot of chaos in between. Isma wins the United States Grand Prix ahead of Kai Eltink. Suku gets the podium off Boland, who had that controversial last lap collision with him. Tom in 5th, Medestral 6th, Korn 7th, Jensen 8th, Andrea 9th, Giel 10th, Fleddy in 11th, Awarka in 12th, Lars Kramer 13th, George Nader in 14th, Tito 15th, the Dutch Missile 16th, Rome 17th, Kazizel 18th, Santeri 19th, and Zander in 20th. Of course, Lars Kramer down were all retirements from the race.
Mental race, though. Everyone is so closely packed together, so it's literally setting us up perfectly for next race in Bahrain, the sprint race. Going to see a lot of desperate moves, aggressive moves. So yeah, I can't wait, and I hope the viewers can't wait too.
Yep, it's going to be a great one. Join us next week, of course, on the Formula Sim series. Any final words, Ethan?
Make sure to tune into F2 next, as I'm going to be racing in that, so that's going to be fun. And yeah, I don't know what else to say really, but it was a great laugh.
Yeah, make sure to tune in to the Formula Sim series, F2 series from United States as well. That's all from me, Evan Dalton. That is all from Ethan. And we will see you next week for another fascinating race. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.